Okay, we are live. In a moment, let me note it. Well, I just put in announcements. There you go. Okay. Well, fuck them if they haven't arrived yet. So I'm just gonna start with my epic monologue at the beginning. So, hello everyone. Welcome to another funny episode of the Daybreak podcast. Today, we are hosting Blue, a gameplay YouTuber who has helped us quite a bit recently. He highlights a lot of the patches that we do. We collaborate together to release early patches with him, that kind of stuff. But he also releases gameplay visual novel content, and we're gonna talk about that and what he likes, what he doesn't like. There's gonna be drama, I hope there's gonna be drama. and yeah, that's pretty much everything, man. And welcome and thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thank you for having me on here. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, then how about we kick it off with the question I make to everyone, which is, what are your 3 favorite visual novels? Just as to kick things up a little bit.
Oh gosh, where do I even begin? That's 3, just 3 is just not enough. But if I had to choose, my 3 favorite visual novels will be the first one was the one that first started it all for me, which was Decapo 2. That was the first visual novel I ever played when I first...
What? Decapo? Damn.
Yeah, Decapo 2. Yeah, it was. That was the first visual novel I ever played when I discovered the medium, and it was something brand new that I never experienced before. It was really fun. Part dating sim, part romantic storylines with a large cast of characters. It was great.
Chills.
My second one is Aokana for Rhythms of the Blue, I believe it's called. That was one that I wanted to play for a very long time when it was first released in 2014, and that one was just one of those games that just really hit on all cylinders in terms of high production quality and just this really unique setting and concept of the flying circus and flying around with this sports game, and it was really good. It did not disappoint. And then the third one would be Akatsuki no Goe. That was something that I discovered back when I was, I'm trying to remember here. That was about a year after I started my YouTube channel when I discovered it. And
so when was this even? Let me see.
This would be August of 2021. I think it was around the time that you guys released the Aya route patch when I discovered it.
Ah.
Yeah, and
Recently, this one.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago, to be honest. And I think the thing that just really struck me was the art. Like, the artwork was just so distinct, and I couldn't believe that it was from 2008. The first game, and I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked from the very start with it, and it made a huge impression on me. And it's a fun read. Kaito's one of my favorite MCs for visual novels, and it was great. It was good. It's a good visual novel.
Oh yeah, he's a character and a half, alright, Kaito.
He is. I think the only time that I've encountered an MC as unique as him was Yamato from Magikoi. Just because he wasn't your stereotypical MC. He was a tactician with, intelligence and, strategized in terms of, I guess with, the games and stuff that was going on in the routes and such. And Kaito is he was so much more to me. So, you know, I never encountered someone like him before.
Well, seeing that you have boomer tastes, I'm going to assume, and no offense by the way, it's boomer taste. It's like Cobra, you know, Cobra likes old games a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about this before a little before we started, but when did you start reading or discovering visual novels? You know, what year are we talking about here?
Oh gosh, yeah. So I first discovered the medium back in June of 2009. It was
Damn.
it was a long time ago. It was Clannad that was the first visual novel that I discovered. I was watching the Clannad After Story, and the anime had just finished airing. It was one of the biggest animes to have been released at the time. Huge, wildly popular. And the two characters that I was really interested was Tomio Sakakami, or I can't remember her name, but two heroines in the show, Tomoyo and Kyo Fujibayashi, and they didn't really have a lot of focus in the story, because it was, you know, I don't know how much you know about Clannad, but it was primarily
I know little.
It was like primarily the romance of Tomoya and Nagisa. And there were these other characters that were interested in him, but with the anime, you know, can only focus on, you know, one.
Yeah, the anime is the canon route as per usual, and the visual novel offers the different options. If you
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so I was more interested in those characters, and I just finished watching the show, and I remember seeing this news article that they were releasing a Kyo OVA, which is a original animation, I guess, to promote the, you know, the show, or I guess for DVD sales or something. And it said it was based off of the games, and I was just like, what is that? Like, there's a game? And I looked it up, and on YouTube, sure enough, there were these clips of an English translation for Clannad, and I'd never seen anything like it before. It was I wanted to know more, but that was about the extent at the time that I knew about visual novels. And then about a year later, I think it was about December of 2010, I remember going to my local bookstore, and I picked up a copy of Otaku USA, which is a primarily Japanese, you know, media-based magazine, you know, about anime, manga, and such. And I remember in the back of the magazine there was a advertisement from Manga Gamer on Da Capo 2, which was about to come out, and that was how I first how I got into it. Was I bought a copy of the game and played it.
Damn,
but it wasn't too
buying and not pirating. What a hero.
well, at the time I didn't even know pirating was a thing, and it actually wasn't too long after that I managed to get a copy of Clannad. So I played Da Capo 2 first, and then Clannad was my second game that I played. So yeah, that was, and then I found out that there weren't really a lot of games released at the time. There was Da Capo and Da Capo 2 and Shuffle that Manga Gamer had, which they were still in their infancy as a company back then, so they only had a few games. And Jast was around too, but they didn't have anything notable at all. But I remember at the time there was just Da Capo 2, and Shuffle, and then I turned to the fan translations, which I then found out that at the time it just felt impossible to buy, Japanese copies of games
Oh
and
yeah,
patch them.
it's really difficult, especially the importing. Just importing fees are really prohibitive.
Yeah, so that's I don't want to. I mean, I guess you could say I did pirate to be able to experience those fan translations, but um, it's kind of crazy how, back then so many things were just, in terms of visual novels, so many things were just impossible to acquire via, the importing and just accessibility. And a lot of those games that I pirated back then, I bought, because they've been officially released. And um, it's just kind of wild just how very few options we had back then compared to what we have now. It's crazy.
So, how do you think the opinion of piracy and that stuff has changed over the years? Like, do you think it's not much different from back then, or not, or are people more outspoken against it?
Um, Honestly, I think it's changed a lot since then. I mean, piracy back then, when I first got into the medium of visual novels, was related in terms of accessibility. It just wasn't, these games were not accessible. Like, my first fan translation that I experienced was Little Busters. I played the original version, and I just remember looking at the physical copies of the game to import from Japan, and they were outrageous prices, like $100 plus shipping and taxes and such. And piracy back then was very much, in terms of just not being able to access be for these games, to be accessible. They just weren't, you just couldn't get a hold of them. And I think now, I'm not sure actually. I feel like piracy now, it's just, if people don't have money, or are just, not really sure about a game and want to try it out and then go from there. That's kind of how I see it when I'm unsure of a game, is that I'll try it out and then go from there. But I mean, I feel like it's definitely changed over the years, but the principles, the same principles do apply in some places.
Okay, well, I mean, I think it's also a matter of growing up. I started way later than you did, but I remember that back when I was in certain communities and stuff, most of the people I dealt with were teenagers like me,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a different experience, that's for sure. Also, for context, I'm not a teenager now. Okay, I'm 24, just so we're on the same page. But
Oh yeah.
but yeah, well, it's about growing up, right, and getting a job, and actually being able to pay for the games that you want to read.
Oh yeah. I mean, we don't have all the money in the world to buy games, and I'm certainly one of those people. So I mean, not being able to, either have the money or being able to afford them, is it was the same as it was back then, just, which, I totally get. It's, we're interested in it, but we only have so much, money with everything.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, ultimately people will choose to do it or not. Who cares anymore at this point? And yeah, I mean, look, what I'm most interested in besides Percy is the YouTube channel thing. Because I barely knew that there were YouTubers dedicated to. I knew there were YouTubers dedicated to visual novel content, as in like top 10 visual novels I read or whatever. I remember. The first one of the first ones that did all of that stuff from a very early time was Conjurer. You know him? He's He's the guy that translated Damekoi back in the day. He passed away.
Oh yeah, I know of him.
He has a YouTube channel. Well, he had a YouTube channel. It's still up, and he used to upload like, I don't know, top 10 visual novels of X year, right, from Japan, and his ratings, because he had this blog where he rated visual novels and everything, and that's where I got to know that there were people dedicated to that kind of stuff. Now there's other YouTubers out there. Like I think I interviewed one Einstein not so long ago, but he dedicates himself to like things similar to those, right? Like I don't know, content that is not strictly gameplay but related to visual novels, like top 10 communities, top 10 English translated visual novels. I don't know, something like that.
Top 10 heroines and stuff like that.
Exactly. I used to watch visual novels through gameplays from Japanese users that uploaded full gameplays of visual novels, right? I still do sometimes, but barely anymore. But I still do sometimes, and I am surprised that they are never taken down, right? Well, no, fake. Most of them are taken down. However, they create private playlists that they link in other platforms, and then those private playlists cannot be taken down. Sometimes they do, but it's rare. And I was surprised that there is barely anything in English, equivalent to this. I heard it's because you guys who dedicate yourselves to like recording visual gameplay get taken down on a yearly basis or even less, monthly or whatever. So yeah, tell me about your funny experiences with this matter.
Yeah, so when I first started, there was like a trinity of really big YouTubers dedicated to visual novels, and they're all gone now. They all got taken down one way or another, for uploading and playing these visual novels, and it's kind of crazy just how few there are now. And I think, I don't know, for me it's definitely it's kind of been curious to kind of witness kind of these takedowns and just seeing just how, I mean, I guess it's because the the medium is definitely taken off more, and and I understand the reason for it, that that they're the companies are protecting their content, and I totally respect that. And I do feel like, I guess for me, I do feel like they should, I don't know, I think it's a little bit unfortunate that they strike these channels down without giving them a chance to get rid of it and still keep their channels. I've definitely been fortunate. My run-in in terms of just the takedowns and such was when I was reached out to by Shira Vune at the beginning of last year, and I am thankful that they didn't turn me to dust, so to speak, with my channel, but I did experience a giant takedown on my channel. So I've been more fortunate than others, but it's been crazy to see just how these larger than life channels playing these games just disappearing overnight pretty much.
Yeah, there's barely any of you out there anymore, right? Like there's you. There's another guy in the server called Little Beast that does the funny videos also, and I don't know anymore, honestly. You and that other guy.
Yeah, I know him, and then I mean, recently, I used to watch him way back in the day, but Bosk War, I think is his name. I used to watch him a long time ago, and he's the most recent takedown that I've in recent memory for me. I think it was just a couple months ago. But it's just, I don't really know of anybody left besides Little Beast, and I think, I mean, for me, it's just me and him at this point. And, I used to believe, before Bosk War got taken down, I used to believe that it was primarily for, for content without it being modified, with your, using your voice, to, narrate or talk about the game while you're playing the game. Because my channel's primarily, just gameplay. I don't record my voice when I'm playing these games, and for the longest time, I was told by so many people that, hey, you gotta, do some voiceover, or, record your voice for these videos, because, you don't know when they're gonna come and, strike you down. And for the longest time, I used to believe that, but that really isn't the case anymore, because even people with commentary get struck down. And for me, it's really hard to know where the line is drawn in terms of what you can record, what you can't record. But ever since my experience with Shiravune, I decided to pivot my channel towards fan translations, because I was, playing a lot of licensed content, so I was definitely playing with fire. And I decided that, well, probably the best way to avoid, a takedown is to play games that aren't licensed, or that, people may or may not care about, because if it isn't licensed, then the chances of it being taken down are a lot lower. And thankfully, that theory of mine has proven true. So I'm still around. I'm still beating the odds.
Nice. I mean, I was gonna ask something related to that actually. Since you are geared towards fan translations now, doesn't it mean that you have a lesser pool to draw from? Because, I mean, I'm not gonna say that there's less now than before. Well, it is true that there is less fan translated content now that comes out than before. However, I guess it broadens your pool regarding older translations, right?
Oh yeah. I was, before Shiravune requested their takedown of their content on my channel, I was drawing in, thousands of views, and my subscription, my subscription base was, growing every day. It's definitely changed ever since I took down the content and, pivoted towards fan translations. I've definitely had much fewer views and much fewer subscriptions, and people joining my Discord server, or just, activity in general in relation to my YouTube channel. It's definitely decreased significantly because of that. And it's sad, but at the same time, it is what it is, and I'm always grateful for people who watch my, videos. And I've definitely, played a couple of games since then that have definitely drawn, quite a few people, like Katsuki no Goe is, a huge pillar for my channel. And Gin Ito Haruka. I was playing Hokako Cinderella. I totally butchered that there.
Hokako Cinderella, before it got taken down.
Yeah, before the fan translation was taken down. Thankfully, my videos are doing fine, but that was a huge draw for people when I was uploading videos for that. And I mean, I've definitely had a few games that have drawn people, but definitely not as much as before, for sure.
So licensed content brings in more viewers than unlicensed one?
Oh yeah, because it's everybody wants to check out the new Yuzu Soft game, or Um, I'm trying to think of something else here that's very popular, like like the Purple Soft games, or um, let's see, I'm trying to think of another one here. Uh, like I don't know, like
Yeah, they want to
uh,
see the new sparkly thing.
yeah, exactly. They want to see the newest thing, with the newest, art style, the glossy, graphics, and just that. uh, the viewership is very strongly leaned towards the newest thing rather than the oldest thing, for sure, because um, it's I was playing a game called the abbreviation of it was emo. That's the abbreviation of it.
Mm-hmm.
The name is very long to pronounce and say, but that was from back in 2012, and a lot of people consider that to be old. So,
I would consider it real personally.
gosh, for me, old is like 2006. Like I consider
Huh.
that old, but uh, I don't know. I guess for me, when it's within the time that I've been actively within the you know been playing in this medium, it's hard for me to call it old, because it was still within when I got into the into visual novels. For me, it's anything older than 2008. You know, for me is old, but that's just me.
God, well, I mean, I think I'm more of a normie in that aspect. So anything before 2016 for me is already ancient. So imagine.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, it's different for everybody. It's and I respect that, because it's for me, I base it off of when I first got into it, and it's it's probably the same for a lot of people too. But like I thought, back in the day, back in 2009, I thought Clannad was like the newest thing I'd ever seen, even though it'd been around for 5 years at that point, and the graphics have definitely aged quite a bit. But I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because I'm not very particular about the art style of the artist behind Clannad. It's her art style has definitely changed since then, and it's a lot more. I like to call it moe blob. Um, so I who's to say?
I mean, personally, I think she's been getting fewer jobs as of late, and it makes sense because she that hasn't evolved as much as other artists have. But that's as far as I know. It's where it's from the Japanese people what they say basically. That she
Oh
has
yeah.
evolved her art style, but it definitely needs a brush or two because yeah,
Yeah,
it's not up
I'm
there
not.
with the rest.
Yeah, I'm not super crazy about it. I think that she's working on the remake of one, which
Yes,
is
yes, she is. Yeah.
which just got recently licensed by Shirabune, and it's just not doing it for me. I mean, it looks nice, but I don't know. She that's kind of been the one art style that just hasn't really, really drawn me in like others. Like the artist for Akatsuki no Goe, his art style is just absolutely phenomenal. Even today, like it's definitely changed, but
Oh yeah, it's
it's
nothing
still
like it
it's
used to be, unfortunately.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, but it's still there. Like when I go to my bookstore and I pick up a copy of, Classroom of the Elite, I still see it. I still see it, and it still looks good for the most part.
Give me a second. Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, look, I think in the matter of views, it's a thing about dealing with the normies. Like the normies only know what an official translation is because they get it from sources like Steam and things like that, or Twitter.
Hmm.
If you want to go deeper and know what is being worked on by fans or whatever, for free, you need to actually go into like communities and search for the threads, right? It's a pain in the ass. So you went from dealing with from normies, to core audiences, which is a little bit different, from people who are hardcore into this and follow us the scene a little closer, than your usual normie that only wants. And I'm not saying being a normie is bad, it's just what it is, It's just what they follow, right? They follow the funny uses of the Neconian news and little else, right? So it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. It is what it is. I mean, yeah, it's honestly, it hasn't really changed all that much because I mean, even back then, back when I first got into the medium, everybody was, after the newest thing and just, what was, popular at the time, and it's, fundamentally stayed the same, but I mean, it's definitely become more clear cut in terms of like, you've got, this core of, this core of games and that everybody just, follows and just is really, drawn to over others. So yeah, no, I agree.
Then, actually, I have a funny one for you. Let's suppose you know Japanese. You are like N1 plus, the master of disaster. Every single word and every single Anki card. What would you translate? And it doesn't matter if it's considered impossible or whatever. If you could translate anything, like any game, that you would like to work on, like what would it be?
Yeah, for the longest time, there was actually one title that I wanted to learn Japanese and translate, and I actually tried doing it a couple of times, and that was the remake of White Album. White Album, Suzu Rareru Fuyu no Omoide, which just got recently licensed by Shirobune. I think they call it.
White Album 1.
I think that. Yeah. I think they call it Falling or
Memories like Falling Snow.
Yeah. I remember when it first came out on PS3, and that was a title that I was just immediately drawn to, and I really wanted to play that. But back then, a lot of games were considered impossible to license for one reason or another, and for a couple of years, I learned Japanese to try to translate that title, because it just, sometimes you encounter that game that isn't available, but you want to play it, and you'll do whatever it takes to be able to experience it. And for me, it was that title, and I actually tried a couple of times translating it, but I wasn't very good at it. So I gave up pretty easily, but that was the title for me.
It's a commitment for multiple years, man. You have to invest a lot of your life, so I mean, it's understandable. Not everyone can do this shit, so. And I do not. I heartily do not recommend it. So yeah.
Well, I respect it. It's very time consuming and just very intricate, the kind of work that you have to do of being able to know this language and being able to read it and translate it and being able to adapt it to another language. It's very time consuming and it's very challenging, and I have huge respect for the translators and editors that work on these games. It's these are huge novels, with scenes that can be very mind numbing, like H scenes, and it's I don't feel like a lot of people really appreciate it, and there's definitely and recently there's been a lot of discord about translation quality, and I don't feel like a lot of people really appreciate the people, behind the screen, that are working on these games. And for me, I'm a fan because it's hard work, and we can't, the quality, the quality, it's really good, for the most part, with what's out there, it's really good. And I feel like people can be pretty judgmental, too judgmental.
They are, because we live in a polarized world. And I think we're living a culture war where there are two sides. Either you are siding with, and I'm going to be very politically incorrect by saying this, but I don't care. Either you side with the Jewish translators with a leftist agenda that want to insert trans people and gays and everything into their translations. And then you have the pure-hearted otakus who get their money stolen by these evil localization companies, basically. So, and there's more people that are pushing the learn Japanese thing, and when you learn when people learn Japanese, they feel like they've transcended or whatever the fuck, like I don't care personally, but they feel like whatever comes out of the translation, it's not good, since it's not them who are translating it, right? And this stems from envy. I think it stems from envy, but the fact of the matter is that we are, and I'm going to say we because I include localizers and translators alike. And I'm saying this as someone who stirs the pot sometimes with other translators, right? Like, I don't care. But, we need to defend ourselves from these people, because it's just open harassment, it is okay to call us out when certain decisions are not well made, and that's completely fine. But there's a difference between that and witch hunting people for translating something you don't like, or translating things in a way you don't prefer, which is, it's kind of cringe, but...
Oh yeah, I mean, like, there's, with, what's the title that just came out? Nuki Tashi that just came out.
Yeah, that one.
Like it's just absolutely wild to me. I'm not sure wild is the right word. It's just absolutely mind-boggling just how everybody's just, up in arms about the translation and just like witch hunting the translator pretty much. And I believe his name is Itaku, which I'm very familiar with his work because I played Two Hearts 2 that he worked on for a long period of time on my channel, and I'm also currently playing Haru Uru that he worked on as well. And he has a very extensive track record of quality work, and it's just crazy just how everybody's going after the quality of the translation for this game, which I as far as my understanding is concerned, it's largely an editing issue with it, because I think that he publicly stated that the translator publicly stated that he didn't even recognize his work in the game. And I think that with what you were talking about like the leftists and what have you, there's definitely been a huge divide in terms of like just the idea of localization with visual novels, that there's these elitists that want this literal word for word translation of the game, which doesn't really adapt very well. It's very, and I've definitely played my fair share of visual novels with a very stilted translation that was very fateful, and it just wasn't very good. I can't think of anything off the top of my head at the moment, but I've definitely played a couple of fan translations that were almost machine translated, just about. And local, and then there's the other side, which is localization, and you can't have it both ways, and it's not everything is going to is going to translate, and so you have to kind of change things as you go. But I think the thing that people don't realize is that if it's within the the core themes and the core essence of these characters, who cares? Like this, nothing was, in my opinion, nothing was lost. Like, I've definitely, like with your work, I've, been gaining a huge understanding about localization and just like, the fundamentals and the essence of, how it kind of comes together. And you've shared some of that on my channel, which has been really, eye-opening for me. And, it's, I strongly believe that, Kaito wouldn't be as distinct of a character, for being one of my my favorite MC character. I don't think that he would nearly be as distinct of a character if he was written the same way he was written in Japanese, compared to how you represented him as as the translator of the game. But it's, I don't know, it's kind of unfortunate, just this divide that between localizers and some of these elitists that are kind of that are going after people and just kind of saying, well, it has to be this way or else it's it's bad, it's no good.
I don't know. I'm not gonna say localizers are not at fault, because to some degree they are very open about politics most of the times. It has been proven without a shadow of a doubt that a lot of the times they insert agenda where there shouldn't be. That's fine. However, sometimes it is confirmed by the authors of those works that agenda is justified, for example. But it really depends. It's mainly because people who read these games and enjoy this kind of content, if you enjoy Japanese content, you already lean right wing to some degree, right? And I'm not going to generalize and say that this is the truth for everyone, but for a fact, I think that if you enjoy Japanese content to some degree, you must enjoy right wing content, because Japanese society and mind and culture and shit, it's very right wing. It's very patriarchal. And I'm saying this as someone, I'm hardcore right wing. Okay, I'm not gonna hide it. Like I'm very hardcore right wing. However, it's kind of cringe how sometimes leftist shit comes out from Japanese media, right? And if someone who reads this leftist stuff reads it, then immediately says it's not Japanese and it must be like a bad change, right? Because it's left wing. There was this comment on one of the Reddit threads that said, left wing memes are worse than right wing memes in my visuals. I'm like, look, dude, it's not even about inserting agendas. Like, if there is a right wing agenda, then in the game, in the text, then I will insert it, right? And if there is a left wing one, then I may not like it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I still remember I translate books as well. That's my main job. And some of the books have transsexual characters in it, and and you have to use neutral pronouns and that stuff with them, because it is what the Japanese uses. Sometimes Japanese people, when pronouns are difficult to gauge in Japanese, so, and especially when it's a transsexual person. I'm not speaking of traps, by the way. It's an actual transsexual person. So yeah, you put it in, right? Or let's go the other way. In Akatsuki no Goei, the big bad, I'm not gonna spoil very much, but the big bad is like extremely misogynistic and hates women, like openly hates women, right? And yeah, so the moment someone reads the text is going to say, "Hey bro, that's so base, nice translation, no?" But what if the big bad was like a man hater, and if I translated it faithfully, they would call me like leftist shield, poopy Biden supporter or whatever. And I'm like, dude,
Oh, jeez.
I swear.
Oh my.
People need to understand that those who insert agendas and open about politics and shit are a minority, and then again, specifically visual translations, right? Because I think visual translations are the highest quality amongst the anime media overall, right? Along with books, I think light novels are also high quality in terms of translations, but visual novels for sure, right? Especially because there's a lot of people who openly, talk about translations and seek better products overall, right? Which is why we had X-Rec in 2012, and now we have releases, fan translations now, which are, in my opinion, infinitely superior than what we have now, right? But yeah, people are definitely it all boils down to people who just antagonize us because they are jealous, right? At least that's what I think. Just they're jealous that some know Japanese and can't translate for their lives, or are too lazy to do so, or some are just afraid of being judged, and then instead of being judged, they prefer judging others to satisfy their ego, or others just try learning Japanese, failed, and then they are spiteful and hate on us, which is why there's a lot of people talking about ChatGPT getting better, and ChatGPT is useful. I've used ChatGPT to compare translations before. I think it's fairly accurate in general, but God, it's gonna be a long time before it makes me stop getting paid for my work. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I only just learned of ChatGPT only recently, and I mean, there's been huge. I think the topic that I've been very aware of on Twitter is, art AI. So I mean, it's definitely becoming a thing. This AI for art, writing, voices. It's definitely becoming a thing. I definitely agree with you. I feel like a lot of this hate is from an insecurity standpoint. I feel like that's where it's coming from, in terms of like this, I don't know, this this issue with translations and everything. It's just I guess everybody just has this idea of what's quality in their eyes, and if it doesn't meet whatever their ideology is on it, then you're wrong. And I've definitely experienced that when I was interacting with communities, where I'd state my opinion, and then I'd get ganged up on, and people jumping on the bandwagon and criticizing, and just saying, you're wrong, your opinion's wrong, this is wrong, you're wrong. And it's unfortunate that people are being like that. I feel like if something's with translating a scene in a visual novel and localizing it or just changing it to something else, I feel like if it was changed in good taste, I'm all for it. But it's when people do add politics, or or just remove scenes, or just completely tone down what was there. I think now that you brought up light novels, I know there was I remember a controversy with Classroom of the Elite. I think
where they eliminated or changed translations, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't think that kind of thing's okay. I mean, if
obviously
something needs to be changed, sure, but omitting scenes and just flat out, changing the meaning, like they did pretty much. I mean, that I don't think that's okay. It's just, it's just stuff that just, is random, that just kind of makes you go, huh? Why is that in there? Like, I think Nuki Tashi that just came out, I think the editor inserted a bunch of Trump memes, and I just, I don't know, with something like that, it's just, if it's within, relation to, what the, Japanese translation is trying to go for, sure. But, I guess it's just, when it's something out of nowhere that's very politically charged, or just, just doesn't have any basis on what's going on in the scene, in the game, that kind of stuff I'm, not for. But people just, I don't know, for me, people just need to keep their politics out of, content,
I mean, it's also the thing, the issue with Nukitashi is that the people who are promoting this witch hunt have a grudge against the translator and the people who worked on that game for a while. I remember, God. So, okay, I'm gonna explain this as someone who has worked in Soulpress, and I was minimally involved with Nukitashi. I was involved, but to like a minimal degree.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I only did like TLC of like a bunch of lines, not much more. But I did see the script. And the editor openly stated in some channels of Discord that he did change jokes to like capitalism, socialism, and some Trump memes or whatever. Without, I mean, look, it's difficult to justify without the consent of the translator, but to some degree the translator was not involved. I think he was involved, but not to like a full degree either, right? So that's another matter completely. And then the issue is that in Reddit there was already a witch hunt going on before the release. I don't know how many threads they made on the matter, but they were already making threads saying that the translation was going to be shit, and preparing, just gearing people towards the inevitable release post where they clown on the translation because 5 lines were not to their liking, right? Well, not to their liking, and in my opinion, they didn't have the best. They didn't deal very well with the jokes, but it's my opinion, and who gives a shit. So now the question is: had they been right-wing memes, would people have not cared or cared less? My answer would most likely be yes in this case. However, no matter what would have come out of that translation, they would have shot on it, right? So, and because of that editor in particular. So yeah, I mean, look, it's just don't get into a beef with like people on the Reddit and in general, right? And that's to avoid getting harassed, because I remember, like, personally, my Daybreak Translations has never had beef with Reddit people in general, especially like never with Gams or anything. Just for context, Gams is the head of the biggest visual novel Reddit. However, I remember one of our first editors, his name was Clem. He did get into he got into an argument with him on Twitter, I remember. Because, I mean, it's Clem's fault, because he was claiming that Gams didn't know Japanese, and Clem obviously didn't know Japanese either, right? So he got into a battle he couldn't win, basically. And I'm glad that he only took issue with Clem instead of us, right? But those kinds of things, like, just avoid it, bro. Just disconnect yourself from reality and live your own, because otherwise it's gonna be difficult to keep up, because you get generally harassed nowadays. Also, I mean, I don't know how it was back then. You told me you wanted to translate White Album, yeah? Was White Album one of those titles that if you tried to translate it, people would harass you to the death? Right?
Oh, probably.
And call you names and shit? Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure that they would have. I mean, I didn't get very far when I was doing it, but I'm fairly certain that I would have gotten harassed. I mean, I feel like that's become a common thing now, which is very unfortunate. It's very, very unfortunate.
I mean, I think it's good to gatekeep titles sometimes. There's certain titles that normies or starter translators should not work on, or even I'm gonna say even translators who know their shit sometimes cannot translate certain works, right? The best example, one of these gated titles is, I'm not gonna say Sakuta. I think Sakuta is completely doable, and it's not as hard as they paint it to be. However, one that is truly hard is Oretsuba. Yeah, Oretsuba is definitely one of the. It's a novel title. Okay, they're making. They're doing the remake. Now, right?
I watched the anime back in the day.
Oh,
that was one of those titles that was heavily requested for Manga Gamer, but I don't think Manga Gamer was in partnership with Naval anymore.
Well, Naval has many issues right now. Basically, they only license to Chinese people, and even then, not even the Chinese people have been able to recoup license costs and anything like that. So most of their licenses are pretty much dead and impossible to get for English speakers, because you will most likely lose money on them, right? So there's no point.
But I did hear about it being a very, very challenging title to translate.
It's one of the hardest for sure.
I mean, I can believe it. I can definitely believe it. I've seen some excerpts on Reddit and on a forum site about it, and I can believe it. I can definitely believe that there are titles out there that are, almost impossible to translate, and I mean, it's. I agree that there are definitely some that are way easier than others, and it's just hard to capture that pose that people have been talking about. The pose of the writing style and just the, what the author is trying to express, I guess you could say.
Well, exactly. There you go. It's okay to gatekeep titles. It's just the way the people here do it is very aggressive, and.
I don't feel like gatekeeping, I don't feel like gatekeeping is really necessary. I mean, I can definitely agree that some titles should be gatekept, just in terms of just like, they're just not feasible to, bring, convert over to another language. But I just feel like gatekeeping in general, when we live in an era of accessibility, more so now than ever before with visual novels, and I just don't think gatekeeping is really a thing anymore. But I know that there are people that are still, carrying that elitist attitude that, certain things need to, that can or can't be, or, just be enjoyed. They, some of them believe that they can't be, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, look, there's just titles that are either very difficult or outright impossible and should not be attempted by amateurs, right? And even professionals in some cases. And these titles are KKK, Albatros, and Oretsuba. Okay, so those three are like the holy trinity of impossible. No, don't touch. I've been rereading Oretsuba now recently, and
you have?
I'm reading it I'm reading it now, and it's definitely one of the most challenging reads I've had. Like I struggle to keep up sometimes.
Oh man, and you're very fluent. I mean, like, you're very fluent with Japanese, so if you're having a challenging time with it, then that's saying something.
I mean, people love saying N1 is the highest, but ultimately N1, which is like the highest degree of Japanese exam you can get, which I have, it's only like high school Japanese mastery, right? Beyond that,
really?
Yeah. Beyond that, I've been studying. I mean, okay, I started to study Japanese 9 years ago. In reality, I have multiple thousands of hours in it, but not as many as I should have after this many years. So, it's hard. It's a hard language to keep up with, especially if you don't put in the hours on a daily basis. You need to constantly be updating yourself, or it's very difficult to keep up. And O. Jackson, which is the writer of Aritsuba, he's definitely one of the best visual novel writers. Okay, he writes very well, right? Compared to your average visual, like Kinugasa in Akatsuki is like a child compared to O. Jackson in Aritsuba. That's like the difference.
Is like, yeah, I mean, the only writer that I'm aware of that is really talented is Maruko of White Album 2. So he must be on a whole nother level from Maruko.
Is in White Album? Is in White Album 2 Romeo?
Romeo? I think so.
I'm pretty sure the White Album 2, the writer is called Romeo. Right? Maruto Fumiaki and Kikakuya.
Yeah, that's his name. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he must be on a whole nother level than a lot of people in terms of writing.
Oh yeah, he like those two are very good. Again, Nabo's works in general are very good. It's just that they decided to release the worst one of them all, which is Shuffle, right? So God, I hate Shuffle. Such a bad game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good for its time, but
oh, for sure, that
God,
was
just aged so badly. It's terrible.
It felt very dated when I first played it. Back when I first started reading visual novels, it felt dated even back then. And if there was a title that I didn't enjoy that much, it was probably that one. I mean, I liked it for some things, but there were a lot of things about it that weren't great, and the translation wasn't very good either, because that was that title was part of the what was considered the dark age of manga gamer back then. So it was not of the highest quality, the translation, and Shuffle wasn't that great. I mean, I wish I could play another naval game, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But yeah.
Eventually, everything will be translated. Just give it time.
Yeah, no, it's crazy how games that I used to write off as not being obtainable license-wise or just being licensed left and right. It's absolutely crazy. Like it's how I wish I could start over again and play visual novels now compared to when I first started.
Who would have thought that after multiple dead projects of Aokana, we would actually get the good one now?
Yeah, exactly. It's good. It's great.
Yeah, because you have lived through like the disasters of like a million disasters actually. Aokana, the remake of the translation of Koike no Tome, for example. No, that was an epic one.
Mm-hmm.
The start and release of Amagami, for example, Magikoi, right? Magikoi got licensed by Jazz, surprisingly enough. Unfortunately, we'll probably never see another official Magikoi, but at least the first one is licensed. So
yeah, I still remember when it was just a partial patch with only a couple of routes in it, and I remember just playing the heck out of the game regardless. And I'm definitely glad that they've, the fan translation, scene for Magikoi has been very strong. It is unfortunate that that a lot of people didn't buy the official translation, but it's
people bought it. It's just that like licensing can be really expensive, man. Like we're talking about up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, no, it sold. It definitely sold, considerably. It's just when you mention the costs of the licenses, and Magikoi's one of the most expensive out there just because of the the voices alone. It just wasn't enough, which is unfortunate.
We can feel the voices that are missing with the voices in our head.
Yeah, it's It's almost, yeah, it was funny almost instantly when that game, when Jast put that out, they put out a mod for the voices. It was pretty funny. It's just like, oh, here you go.
Actually, speaking of funny releases, what is one that you were looking forward to but ended up being a flop for you? One that you ended up not liking for whatever reason.
Like official or for fan translation?
Anything.
Let's see. Trying to think of one that I just was not happy with. That's a good question. I think for me, one that really stood out that I just did not like was Rewrite. I remember I read the fan translation for Rewrite back in the day, and I didn't enjoy it. And then Sekai Project released their official version a couple of years ago, and that was an absolute disaster. And I didn't enjoy it that time either.
So you're not looking forward to Harvest Festa then, I take it.
I just didn't. I guess for me, I don't like super science fiction, kind of supernatural. I thought Rewrite was kind of out there in terms of its story beats and like what it was trying to go for. I just couldn't wrap my head around it, and I just didn't enjoy it. But I mean, I heard that Harvest Festival or Harvest Fiesta, I think it's called.
Yeah, Harvest Festa.
Yeah, I heard it's more lighthearted, which tends to be what I prefer when it comes to visual novels. I tend to prefer the more lighthearted stuff over just over the serious stuff. But I don't really do that great with supernatural titles. So Rewrite was like one of those games that I just outright didn't like when I first read it. And there aren't very many that I read that I was just like, I don't like this at all. But that was one of them.
Okay, well, just for your information, if you're curious, there is a fan translation of Festa that was released not so long ago. In fact, I'd say a couple of weeks ago or something like that. So
yeah, I heard about that.
If anyone's interested in reading that, then look for it. I'm not gonna link it because I don't know where it was uploaded, but you can find it for sure if you look for it.
Oh yeah, it's the internet. Everything. It's so easy to find things.
Exactly.
So yeah. I do need to check it out because I was curious about it back in the day, just to kind of see if it's more to my liking compared to the base game. But I definitely appreciate those that enjoy it, because I tend to be one of those people that if I don't enjoy something, I still respect those that do enjoy it, because rather than just being like, oh, it's it's garbage, it's trash, it's I look at it as we're all here to enjoy things and appreciate them, and can definitely appreciate people that do like things that I don't like.
Well, apart from that, I think I'm gonna ask you a few more questions, and we're gonna wrap up because it's getting pretty late here.
Okay.
So the first one is, and I'm sounding like an interviewer right now, but well, whatever. What is the best girl of a visual novel you've ever played? The best girl ever you found.
That's a tough one.
And best male character as well. Now that we're at it, to add some equality into the mix.
Oh well, you already know my favorite male MC, Kaito.
Okay.
He's hands down my favorite in terms of all of them. Just because he just has so much character to him. Favorite heroine is a bit of a hard one. Or my best girl from a visual novel. Let's see. Well, I don't mean to sound like a cop-out here, but I think my favorite one is the would have to be from Clannad, Kyo Fujibayashi. She was my favorite girl from Clannad. I don't know. I like her route the best. I think that she was one of those characters that just kind of had a lot of internal conflict with, she had a lot of internal conflict within herself, and kind of like that. I was very fascinated by the kind of the conflict that she had with her twin sister in relation to the main character, and I also like that she was a scooter driving, book throwing, and boar pig owner. She was definitely unique.
It's base, man. Come on, that's what we like to see.
Yeah, so she was pretty fun. So she would have to be my favorite one if I had to choose one.
Okay, well, that's good taste, man. So you like the more tomboy kind of girls, yeah? In the visual novels?
Oh yeah. That's I like
an enjoyer.
I think the term. Yeah, I'm an enjoyer for that kind of thing for sure.
So what were you gonna say? A term? Is there a term for that?
I assume tsundere, I think it's called. Right?
Oh, you like tsunderes?
For the most part, I mean, there's definitely a fine line with that character, with that archetype. Where they can be pretty annoying, if they don't have other qualities to them. But I prefer the term tomboy for sure. I definitely prefer the term tomboy.
Yeah. Okay. And then I'll ask you one more, which is I'm assuming you keep up with fan translation and what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are you looking forward to? In terms of like what's coming soon, in the next 2 years, let's say.
For fan translations?
Yeah, because obviously, licensed content is one thing, right? And
yeah. Oh yeah.
And you don't deal with that anymore, but something you would like to cover in your YouTube channel, right?
Oh yeah. There's definitely a couple. To be actually funny enough, a lot of it is from you guys from Daybreak Translation.
Chills.
Really looking forward to more Akatsuki no Goe with the fan disc and the third game. I don't remember I don't remember what the
Shumatsuron.
Yeah, that's it. I am looking forward to the final route of Gin Iru Haruka with Yuzuki. Yeah, I'm curious about it. It'll be an interesting read.
#soon.
#soon. Exactly. I'm really looking forward to what Poison Pyrite has in store with over there in After School TL.
Oh, I can show you some of that later. Obviously, I cannot talk about it.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just curious. When the time comes, I'm really curious to see what he's been working on, because I immensely enjoyed his work with Hokago Cinderella. And then the other one is with that one guy over in Studio Freisei. He worked on Emo, which came out last year. He's been working on the complete edition of H2O. And I'm looking forward to that. I think that will be pretty exciting. I can't think of anything else because, like you mentioned, the fan translation scene has definitely been a lot smaller compared to how it used to be. But I do keep tabs on, the things that I'm looking forward to. So those are the, Daybreak, After School TL, and Studio Freisei are the top 3 fan translation groups that I've been, keeping track of in terms of their projects.
Well, sounds fucking nice, man. I mean, I don't know. I know the guy who runs that Fracture group, but I've heard good things of him. So it's probably whatever comes out is probably gonna be good. Especially that game is so long. The one he's done. He's done the game and the after, right? Which is like what 60 hours in total. So,
and what's crazy is that he's already finished the translation and he's close to finishing the editing on it, which is that's pretty fast to do that as quickly as he has, because like you mentioned, all of it's very time consuming, so he's definitely been going at his pace with it.
Oh, he's fast. He said he religiously does 400 lines a day, so it's quite fast. It's faster than I do, for sure. Yeah,
nice. Everyone definitely goes at their own pace with it.
Okay.
I'm really excited about I'm very excited about covering more fan translation games on my channel. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, me too, man. I'm subscribed and watch from time to time, Just YouTube gameplays are way more soothing than just going by yourself and pressing enter.
Oh, yeah. No, that's what I kind of wanted was, to kind of create that for people that, don't like to play visual novels themselves, which surprisingly there are some out there, that are like that just, like to watch on their phones or on their TV for these games rather than playing it themselves on computers. And, I've thought about it a couple of times of doing commentary, but there are some people that just enjoy just reading it and, not having that. So, it's good.
Well, then we'll be looking forward to that, and I think we should be wrapping up because it's pretty late over here.
Okay.
And I won't be having enough brain to actually continue the podcast. I have enough brain to keep talking for a little while after, but God, I'm fried right now.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, we've been talking for quite a while, so it's totally understandable.
Hour 20 minutes, more or less. So standard podcast length. Thank you everyone for watching. If you want to participate, I don't care if you are e-celeb or not. I don't give a shit. Just if you want to join, just PM me or send a message through the funny server, and we can arrange something out. Apart from that, thank you for coming. We'll definitely talk again some other day. And
thank you for having me.
Okay,
it's a lot of fun.
Okay, and see you guys later in the next episode, whenever that happens. So it could be next week, it could be next month, or who the hell knows. Okay.